Hi there, I'm John Carpenter. You might know me as a horror movie director, but right now, what I'd really like to be known as is a giant Godzilla fan. Tonight's movie is the original Gojira from 1954. Gojira has a mood that all the other movies didn't have. See, when I was a kid, I knew all about the atomic weapons and the fact that they were going to kill us all if they hit. And Godzilla was a big atomic weapon walking around with a radioactive breath. You know, I didn't see Gojira when it was first out. I saw the Americanized version, which is cleaned up a lot. And they covered what it was like to the Japanese people. The somber, oh my God, the devastation. That was pretty intense. So I loved that. I ate it up. Many people are surprised by how dark the original 1954 Gojira movie is. This was not a summer popcorn fest, but a horror movie. Godzilla's skin was made to look like radiation scars. He shot nuclear energy from his mouth. 10 years after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, he was a stand-in for the atomic bomb, unleashing unstoppable, horrific destruction wherever he tread, with no rhyme or reason. Awakened by the nuclear testing, overpowering the Japanese army, and only defeated by a human sacrifice and a horrific weapon, this film didn't stray from its monster impact. Dr. Serizawa is an unlikely and weird hero. A scientist who's been visibly scarred by the war. His oxygen destroyer is another weapon of mass destruction, one that he wants to keep hidden from the world. Of course, it's the only thing that can stop Godzilla's rampage. If he uses it, the secret's out, so he isolates himself. He's alone, and finally, he destroys his research and sacrifices himself, along with the monster. Was the man behind Godzilla's timeless and fabulous theme and the score from many of his movies. He was a classical composer turned movie composer, and his classical training shines through his work, bombastic and epic and emotionally charged. He was a member of the Imperial Japanese Army, but after he was exposed to X-rays without protection, he wound up in the hospital with radiation poisoning, on the brink of death. So you can see why Ifukube connected with Toho's Godzilla script and just knew how to bring the right gravitas to the score. This is one of the great scores of all time. Ifukube didn't just compose Godzilla's iconic theme, but also the sound of Godzilla's footsteps, made by hitting an amplifier box, and his roar. He had decided that this unnatural creature needed an unnatural sound, and he found it by rubbing a broken-down double bass with a rubber glove. Even the newer versions of Godzilla based their IMAX-size roar off of Ifukube's technique, and that's really amazing. No matter how Godzilla is manifested on the screen, rubber suits or CGI or whatever's next, his roar lives on. There really wasn't enough time in the production schedule to utilize the usual stop-motion animation. So E.G. Tsuburaya, the special effects director, had to really get creative. It was from this necessity that the father of special effects genre got extremely inventive. creating highly detailed miniature sets that would be pummeled mercilessly by a man in a suit. Working in tandem with Ishiro Honda, they used optical compositing to allow the monster and the characters to exist within the same scene, and used animation techniques for radiation breath and other monster attacks. Of course, these techniques would be refined and utilized throughout the years and became a beloved staple of Japanese pop culture. Right from its first scene, Gojira wasn't fooling around, as a monster or as a film. Early in 1954, the United States government conducted a nuclear test that poisoned the entire crew of a Japanese fishing boat, the Lucky Dragon No. 5. So when the credits have just rolled, and we have the sailboat being decimated by a symbol for the atomic bomb right off the bat, the tone was set. The suit weighed 220 pounds, and man, that's just too heavy to be practical. So a second version was created for full body shots. The very first suit was cut in half for close-ups, or when Godzilla was in the water. There was a hand-operated puppet of Godzilla's upper body to convey facial expressions, or biting, or to spray mist. Haruo Nakajima was inside the suit mostly, and he could only be inside for a few minutes at a time. He lost 20 pounds inside that thing, but he stayed on to play Godzilla and other monsters for almost 20 more years. Katsumi Tezuka became the backup Godzilla, filling in for Nakajima when he needed a break. Whoever was in there, the sheer size and weight helped the actor move around just like a giant lumbering monster. Gojira has a mood that all the other movies didn't have. See, when I was a kid, I knew all about the atomic weapons and the fact that they were going to kill us all if they hit. And Godzilla was a big atomic weapon walking around with radioactive breath. You know, I didn't see Gojira when it was first out. I saw the Americanized version, which is cleaned up a lot. And they covered what it was like to the Japanese people. The somber, oh my God, the devastation. That was pretty intense. So I loved that. I ate it up. もうはい、そのままありません。我々の命もどうなるか、ますます近づいてまいりました。いよいよ最後です。